Hello, Sketchbook Heroes. Welcome. We're going to be drawing the head and talk a little bit about sticking it out. A little bit of, it's always good to know why you're drawing, what's your purpose. So here we go. Here's our purpose. Not here, but we're actually, our purpose is to draw like the Loomis head, understanding the Loomis head. And here it is right there. It'll be a link in the description. So this is the Loomis book we've been doing. In the first couple pages, that's what we're kind of aiming for eventually, something like this. It is possible to draw like this. This takes some time. So but you need to understand the structure first. It's always the structure, understanding the structure and proportions, and then the shading and all the pretty stuff that goes on top. Yeah, it's drawing like this. And even something like this, you can see almost sketchiness to it, drawn pretty quick, but he understands the structure. He understands light and the shading, stuff like that. And even without even having to draw everything, you can see like here, there's no line right in that space. All right, so it does go into the hands. We're here. We've gone through a lot of this book. We haven't drawn everything, but it's on your own. You should be practicing some of these. The basis is the sphere and how the sphere turns. If you do go to my website, I will have more stuff on there, but I think I got the wrong link that I had right here. Yeah, it is. I'm on the wrong. It's all good. It was this other one. It disappeared. There it is. My second screen. It's from my site, and there's a really good. I'll put this in the chat as well. Here, this video, a beginner's guide to drawing faces. There's those, and yeah, this will be propagated better soon. I'm hoping when we do faces again, probably. All right, let's see. Let's go back. So you should have it open. We're going to be just going through it right now. Where did it go? No, I'll just go it again. I did paste it there. Well, get down a little faster. Now, this is where you really see the shading on these heads, really seeing the structure. This is what's really important, and actually drawing a lot of these, not even getting into the shading yet. You want to see the structure, and the shading does help see the shapes, but seeing this structure here first, the muscles, and you can see here we're actually getting more into detail now, into the eyes and the noses and the different parts. This is a man's head, and here's the sphere again, and then the shield. They call it the shield. The brow line, the nose line, and the chin line. Those are the three important ones, and plus the hairline. And they're usually about the same. And that's where you really need to see your proportions, the brow line and the nose line. And then this is it, and almost turn everything else off and just see those lines. And that'll help you really get the proportions. And then the width as well. All right, these faces look interesting. Let me see, we're going to draw the expressions, noses, mouths. Let's see, we skip these. So actually, it'd probably be good exercise just to draw one of those things, mouths maybe. Here it goes into the muscles. Oh, that's really interesting. Oh, this would be good. I gotta get into the muscles. There it is, his sphere. Actually, why don't we go ahead and draw? I really like the way this one's proportions on this one are kind of made up. We'll use these to warm up. We'll draw these to warm up some of these faces. That's our plan for today. Page 38. We'll do some of these to warm up, and then we'll get into the proportions on this face down here, or this face, and really take a look at these proportions. All right, so that's the plan for today. Let's get a bunch of these out just for a warm up. All right, so we're just gonna draw these out for a warm up. And really simple eyes, just the location of the stuff. So we'll probably do this whole row right here, right in the middle, right there on page 38. Page 38. Page 38. So page 38, we're gonna do page 38. Let's do that. Page 38. If you want to screenshot it, go ahead and screenshot it. There's something in the chat. Let me see. Loomis prefers to refer to value rather than shading. Yeah. And because you're seeing value tones. And what you're doing is when you're shading, you're getting the values. Yes. And there's, yeah, right. It's interchangeable, but yeah, if we're going to get really specific, yes, we need to be specific because you're shading values. Values is a more a general term. So yeah, all right, there we go. All right, so you got that. Let's do it. Let's sketch. There we go. All right, so the first one is a round head. Let's flip our head. Yes. Yeah, all kinds of stuff going on here. There we go. I got let's go with pencil here. So we're starting off with the circle. That's our circle, our foundation. We're building that foundation, getting that circle. And if you scribble it in like this, really just trying to get that, you know, it's not going to get it like in one swing until you practice. You see all that scribbling. And there it is till you get like a pretty round shape. We're almost building it like a piece of clay. And this one is a little off. The shield is a bit to the right here, but it does come down. I would say probably about that much right there. So I got my circle.
Is anyone seeing Eladio? I just see the page.
Oh, okay, hold on. Ah, thank you. Here we go. Let me spotlight you. Here we go. Thank you. There it is. How's that? Better? Let me see one more thing. Oh, there we go. That's it. That's better. Thank you. Thank you. All right. This is why we go live. That way we can, yeah, there we go. So here's our circle, and here's the shield. The shield is a little off kilter, and that's the whole shield, that whole face. And then we got our thirds. Our thirds, the first third, well, where the eyes are, usually like right in the middle. That's the middle where the eyes go. Then right above that is the thirds, the brow, and then usually from here to this bottom circle is where I see the nose most of the time. And then I don't know, we would really need to, like in here on this one, I really see it right there at that nose. What's cool is a circle no matter what size. So if I draw this again, a little smaller, it's going to be the same proportions. It's going to be the same proportion. All right. So the middle of that circle is the top of that eyebrow. A little bit below it is where the eyes are going to go. And then from the top of the eyebrow to here, and then bottom is where the chin line. That should be about the same, which I'm kind of actually bringing down my chin line a little bit more because of that. Yeah, there we go. Just slightly more. It's probably this character, his is a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller. I'm seeing the size. All right, cool. So let's bring that up. There we go. We got our shield. We got our face. Let's go ahead and start putting it in. Now we are going to go into the proportions. I won't talk about them today as far as how far apart. What we're looking at is the proportions up and down. Whoa. And the proportions that are going up and down. Here we go. Mute some people. I can't mute somebody. There you go. Hopefully I didn't mute myself. There we go. All right, so there we go. Let's get this in here. And now the eyes are pretty much centered in that space here. Get the middle of our shield because it's a little bit off to the right, and it's not even that much off to the right. But if you aim for the middle, that will get you where the eyes are going to go. Now we can just go ahead and put in the brows. The brow is right underneath, and the flow of it, the move, is slight angle, and then it cuts in that space right in there like that. All right, I'm going to speed it up because this is just practice. Really should just be practicing. Just try to draw what you see. It's really just, these are the simplest eyes. It's just almost like an oval. There's a little bit of cuts in there, and that does kind of taper into the center, those two parts. And then we're getting that other eyebrow right in there, and a little bit of taper in on the end right there. So I'm looking back and forth in my drawing, looking at back and forth, trying to copy what I see, put it in that space. This eye kind of goes to the top of the eye, and then you have the bottom of the eye in that space there. And this one, I closed it up, but it's all right. I can close this one up, slight shade over it. All right, let's get that nose in there. The nose, the shapes, and we are going to get into that specifics. But this one is almost like a little square, resting on that spot right there. A little square resting on that spot. A little bit of just a little touch of a nose right there. Then it goes out, out. The mouth is a little bit higher than average. It is a little closer. And the center of the eyes, which we'll show later, that's how far out the mouth should kind of go out and out. And it goes up. There's a little wrinkle there, a little bit of a wrinkle on the right side as well. And you don't see the lips too much in this copy, but there's a little bit of lip, a top lip. And then the bottom lip, you definitely see the bottom lip as a line right about there. And then there's space, because this is where it goes back to the chin right here, this space right here. And usually it's dark in that area. And then the top part is dark, the lips. I'm going to give him a little more lip so you can see, just like that. Now let's get the shape of his head. And it's still good to start off with the shape of his head. You can go back and forth and see what works best for you. And he's got a little more cheek. I'm really seeing the space from here to here. I see this space. And the way it kind of wraps around there. And even the cheekbones, a little bit of cheekbone kind of coming up. And then on the left side, the same thing on the left side. It's got the same cheek shape. And then it comes out with the chin, slight chin. There we go. And then a little bit of shadow in here, which our sketching kind of takes up in there, right where that cheekbone kind of would come in. Same thing on the left side, a little bit of cheekbone. And here we go with our hairline right about in there. Get that hair, a lot of little lines here for the hair coming up. The ear is low, right where the eyes are. That's where the ears are, right that level. Actually, although this one's probably a little bit higher, slightly higher. There we go, bring it in. And we're drawing these, you can really, you'll be able to see, oh, okay, which one's which, and the differences and the sameness and the differences. But if you can't get it, that's okay. I mean, you're pushing against something that's called, my notes, it's on this page in this book. You know, you're pushing against the edge of capabilities. The edge of capabilities, like talking and drawing. And you'll make mistakes. And that's where it's kind of painful. Because then, especially if you're like, oh man, my ear was too big, but now I see it. And you try to fix that, because I'm trying to think of edge of capabilities. It's because it's right at that edge. But that's where the learning happens. That's where the learning happens, at the edge of your capabilities. And then you just kind of like, sometimes people don't like to do that. They like to stay in their comfort zone. Don't like to kind of like make mistakes. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's looking good. I'm looking back and forth. Probably maybe the spacing here. Trying to make it match as much as possible. Making it match from the book to this. And there we go. There we go. And that's looking pretty good. I'm probably a little bit higher. I'm gonna have to bring up the head a little bit higher up here. I'm looking at the spacing here now and seeing how all the parts fit. These are really complex shapes, but you can see it's a puzzle. There it is, ta-da. And then you go off to the next one. All right, let's go to the next one. Same thing, but a little more square. That one was rounded. Let's go put it next to it. Starting off with our circle, sketch it in, scribble, sketch. Then this one's a little more square. The shield is more square, right? A little more square. And then it comes down. We'll make it the same size as this one. I'm going to go from the bottom of the chin, just cross. Bring that in, make sure the top is about the same. Yeah. Looking at in relation to the last one we drew. And there's the circle of the head, and this is a little more square. So here's a square. and the bottom a little more square. See the jawline and the shape of the head. That'll really capture. And sometimes, well, caricature people exaggerate when you're doing caricatures and cartoons. They'll exaggerate. So there's that. Here's the brow line, similar as this. We're just going to bring it over, and that. And then here's where the some of the differences. All right, so the eyes are actually closer to this brow line. So here's our brow line. And here the distance between the brow line and the eyes are a little tighter, and this one's a little more straight across. So that's the difference. It's almost like the same brow, but just straighter. And this comes in, same as that brow, very similar. I'm using them both to kind of compare and contrast. Downtown traffic and rain is not fun. That's where I was right now. It took a half an hour to get to where I wanted to, and an hour and a half to get back. Yeah. All right, so now the nose, this nose kind of a little more straight down. It's not as bulby. See how this one's, there's no shading on it. This one has a little more shading, so it kind of flattens it out. Kind of has the same shape as the southern nose, kind of has the same shape. But what kind of flattens it out or gives it a little more form is the shading that's on top of it, right in here. See that little two little lines right on top, and it's kind of like shaded. Kind of pushes it back a little bit, and you can see because he's a more rounded face. This one's not as rounded, so you're getting a little more angular stuff happening. Even here, the angles here, kind of coming. They're coming off of. Well, we usually come off right there. Bring it up a little bit. Put it back in. Nose. Right in here, right in here. I'm going to start speeding it up. And here's the mouth, very similar to that one. What's going to really make it a little different is the cheek. The cheeks that kind of come in. This one is a little squarer, a little bit of a rectangle. Very, very close to being the same as the other face. And there's the chin, the lip, bottom lip, I mean, to the chin. And then this comes out. There's a little bit of angle there. Now here's where it really gets angular. Here, and here. These lines, these two lines, kind of like almost like a parentheses. And there, you get that bottom. It goes wider than our other guy. The chin width is a little wider, and then it goes back here, really angular and both angular. This really was where it sets it apart, this character from the other character. You can see them now side by side, and you can see, compare and contrast, see how they're the same, see how they're different. It's just they're really similar. It's just this outside now. And then here we put in the cheekbone, right? Cheekbone, really make it more pronounced on this character here. Cheekbone a little more pronounced, a little bit of shading or value. And right in there. A little bit, and widening it up because it's not like a line. It's really just like a shape, a space in there. And then the eyes are closer too. He's almost like squinting like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hi, my name's Arnold. Kind of even looks like him. He looks like Arnold. Get down with your drawing. There we go. Too silly. And he's even got a little bit of underneath, a little bit lighter, a little bit of bags, like he's squinting. There you go. This does look like Arnold a lot if you look in the book. So that's our goal, to make it look like him. It's got the same hair too. So here's where the temple is. Temple on this side. And then this hair is a lot more square. It is a little bit higher, it's supposed to be. But it's straight, it's closer to being straight. A little more angular. The hair is even straighter here on the side. And then the top is just a little more square. It's squared right here. See, it's squared. It's really just pulling out these corners, squaring it out a little bit, slightly. compared to that one that's more rounded. There we go. And drawing what you see. That's all we're doing. We're just drawing what you see. What do you see? Trying to capture it. And that's the fun stuff. Sometimes you're going to hit it, sometimes you're not. But once you know proportions, that really helps. We'll be going to, and this is just practice, right now, just practice. I'm going a little slow, kind of talking about it. Let's see if I can speed up the next one. I'm going to not talk as much. I'm going to just go ahead and draw it in on the next two. Let's see how fast I can go. You just shade in the ears. You don't have to worry about the details. When we get to that, we get to the detail, we'll get to the detail. You really get into the specifics of how to draw an eye, because it's confusing. I mean, it's not confusing. What it is, it's a shape inside a shape. You have a circle, a sphere inside, you know, inside the skin, and it turns. All right, here we go. There it is. Ooh, now we're going to go wide with our next face. Do we have it looking like Arnold? Not too much. I can probably put it side by side and get it a little more accurate, but we're just practicing. So we don't, you know, don't get too bent out of shape. We're going to get our other circle, same size, same height, same. Our next circle, our other circle is not going to fit our fourth head. This is our third head. I'm going to go a little faster. All right, so this one, we've got our brow as well, about the same spot. Same thing with the nose, but it's the shape of the head that's really changing on these characters. This one is going wider. It's actually going wider here. It's a slight angle. This side doesn't have that angle, but it's not being consistent. But yeah, that shape. And here it kind of comes all round. He does have a wider nose. He does have a wider nose. The nose is wider. A little bit wider. And he's got, let's start from the top and down. A little bit of an angle on the brow, a little bit more of an angle. And a little bit longer, almost like our first character, the first one we drew. Right where that brow line is. And then it comes in. It's that same triangle right here. You always got to look for this triangle. That really helps. That one that goes right between the eyes. Get out there. Center of the eye on the center on both sides. We haven't drawn our axis lines, but axis lines help. That axis line. And then the eyes are usually like, try to see the center. Let's bring that over a little bit. In the center of that eye would probably be right in that area. These eyebrows going up at an angle. And then the thickness of that brow, really important to see that thickness. And it comes with practice. If you're getting it too thin or too thick, it's not a big deal. What's important right now is understanding the structure, practicing that structure when you're first doing it. And then the rest kind of comes together. Here, the bridge of the nose kind of like almost has like a broken nose, like you had a broken nose before. You get this little bump right there. It's more prominent in a profile, but here, this nose comes out at an angle, But notice the location, it's the same location, it's just a different nose. We're all different. Everybody's different. Usually here, this part goes back, so this part is usually a little bit shaded, this whole triangle, because that's what that goes back. Let's get the eyes in. A little more space than our Arnold, but I can just almost draw it like an oval in here. It does have a little more shape, but yeah, just drawing an oval in there, getting that oval, blocking it in. That's all we're really doing. There's no detail, no pupil, no highlights, no nothing. So you'll get away with this a lot of times. A lot of times you just want to know where the structure is, know the proportions, and then not draw it. Kind of like, okay, they're right there in that area. All right, you don't have to draw everything all the time. All right, here we go. Let's get to move this over. Yeah, it's almost like knowing where everything's at and then saying, okay, it's right in there. It's right there. There's the mouth. This is a little bit wider. A little bit wider. Then the middle, and then bottom lip going this way. Bring that chin a little bit down. Actually, color right in there. And here, this, yeah, definitely angled. It's a wide face. Right in there. Right, so it goes in and then back out. Here's the cheekbones. Cheekbones. I don't know, going slow. I feel like I'm going slow. It's all right. We're just drawing for fun. He's got less forehead than our Arnold. And it does come in the hairline. That hairline, trying to capture that hairline. And I see this shape, this rectangular shape of that forehead always. And it's always that forehead. It's a 2x4 forehead. Sometimes it's a 5 head. They've got a big forehead. It's a 5 head. That's. I know if I'm receding here, and I know I'm losing my hair too. It's like, that's not funny. So here, this is a little bit more rounded than our other head next door. This one's more rounded, a little smaller. That's the difference. You see these differences. And then the ears are going to be right in here, same spot. There's that cheekbone, I think, yeah, a little more cheekbone. And then yeah, this cheek coming in just like that one, but not as prominent, but it's there. There we go. Let's get that ear. 2 angles, this angle here, and then this angle up, like 3. And the rounded part. Yeah, in there. Yeah, practice drawing what you see. You can look at, I know you have probably 3 places you're looking at. You're looking at the book, you're looking at my drawing, or you might just be looking at my drawing, which is fine. All right, let's put a little bit more of a shadow. That lip, bottom lip is a little bit thicker. Actually, the shadow, this is the shadow part of that bottom lip. That goes back into space. Let me clean this up a little bit. There he is. A little bit more. I'm going to put a little more shadow under the nose. Probably a little bit more of that form of the nose. All right, there's our 3 heads. And the other heads that we drew last time were pretty good. The ones we drew last time. Let's zoom out. Yeah, there's the ones we drew last time. They're really good. The noses, you can tell the noses are different. These noses here are a little more simple, a little more squared out. There it is, blurring up. And let's get that last one. Let's draw that last one down here. This one's the long head. It's a little bit thinner. Let's get our circle in here. I'm going to draw a little faster. Sketch it out. There it is. Yep, this is long. Here's our axis line right down the middle. Let's get that middle of that circle. That's where our brow is. Bottom of this is the bottom where the nose is. And then, and it's really, I don't know, it's really weird how it changes on a profile. And we'll see. We'll have to figure that one out. There's the bottom, the chin line, nose, brow, those 3, and then the hairline up there somewhere. Heads. All right. So let's get the brow. Actually, yeah, here we go. The brow line. The brow shape. You want to see this shape here, this shape. And then you've got the little triangle here, the little necktie, like a necktie. And then here, the other brow on the left side. Getting the shape, getting the angle, you want to look at that. And then you want to see what's not there, the space between here and the eye, where that space is, right? That space, almost seeing it as another shape. You do that, I do that sometimes. And then, so here's the eye, really simple. Actually, we can do another simple like oval eye, just shaded that shape in there. not really worrying about the structure of it, or the specifics. Those specifics come later. It's really kind of the general first, and then specifics later. You learn about drawing the faces. Here, this nose is just pretty much straight, actually, like that. Not a square. This is more of a rectangle, tall rectangle, right in there, in that shape. Probably with a shadow on one side, and that one probably doesn't close off. Well, it doesn't close off on this bottom, but I already closed it off. Not a big deal. Just copying what we see. And here we go. The mouth a little bit there above the center, from here, from the nose to the chin. So always got to see where that's at. Bring it out from the center of the eye. That's here coming down. These are points of reference you look for, because your mileage will vary, depending. Some people have wider mouths, some people have smaller mouths. Here, and this is a long face. Why the long face? I don't know. Why the long face? He has the long face. But here you can see that we're cutting in a little bit more already, bringing this up a little bit thinner than the other faces. And just those little things make it longer with the cheekbones. All right, that was a good warm up. All right, this is the last one. We're going to get into the proportions now, the proportion part. Drawing the proportions of the people. Really simple ears, where the top of the ears below, right there. Two angles, angle down, and then angle in. Right there, for the ear on one side. Really don't even see the parts on the inside, just shade it all in on this drawing. Top of the ear, side. This is actually a slight angle. It's interesting symmetry. Here's on the wide side. There we go. And then the hair actually, that has got like a receding on the side, so it kind of comes in like right up there, and then it goes in and back. A little bit of receding. And then, yeah, sometimes when you're drawing somebody, you don't want to make it flattering. Sometimes, I don't know, I've always got, that doesn't look like me. I'm like, well, it's just practice. It's just a sketch. That's what I always kind of say. Oh, it's just a sketch. I would have to, spend more time and you do. And it does take some practice to really get a likeness, because if things are off just slightly, I mean, that's what a surgeon's job is, millimeters. I mean, he's just changing millimeters. Moving things here and there just a little bit. Plastic surgeon. All right, here we go. That's it. Here's our long face. Let's take a look at all the faces together. There we go. All 4 of them. All right, the round face, the square face, and the long face. No, so round, square, wide, and then long. I really like that. The profiles. Again, there's some character faces. Those are really interesting character faces. We're going to skip those. That's on page 39. We're skipping page 40. Rhythms, facial rhythms. Page 42, really nice. But we're going to go with the standard head here. Let's see. There we go. Standard head. That's going into the proportions. And these proportions actually are interesting. I'm going to draw these two. So let's go to the next sheet of paper here. Invoice my notes. Oh, these are the, we didn't finish. We did the pine cones. We stopped on that drawing on Thursday. All right, here we go. All right, let's start off. This one really doesn't use the Loomis head. Here it breaks things into thirds and halves. If you look at the page, we're looking at plate 18 on page 43. page 18. Oh, actually plate 18 on page 43. And if the PDF, it's page 39. Page 39 on the PDF. I think they might have had some blank pages they didn't scan. All right, so how do we start this? It really is. We're going to start off with the center line. Let me see, sharpen my pencil a little bit. So take a chance to stand up and stretch. It's a good thing to do. Stand up and stretch. Shouldn't be sitting for too long. There we go. There we go. All right, so it really kind of almost starts off with it. I wouldn't know if it's a square or not, but you can see the proportions. We're going to start off with that axis line straight up and down. Just an axis line straight up and down. That's our center here. And then we're going to start, then we're going to draw the thirds. The thirds. So here we go. There's that third there. That's the brow line. Although he's drawing the brow above it. And then below that is the nose, where the nose is. And then the chin, which is the same distance from here to here down to there. So let's use this paper here.
Oh, excuse me, Lario.
Yes.
What is the page 39 you're doing?
No, it's page 43. It says 43 at the bottom.
Oops.
It says page 43, but it's 39. It's a 39 in the PDF. If you look at the PDF,
39 in the PDF. But
yes.
looks like I have different faces.
Yeah, there's two faces. There's a front face and then there's a side face with a bunch of squares. I can show it. A bunch of squares on it. Let me share my screen real quick. There we go. There we go. That's it. So we're doing this one here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
It says it's page 43 here, but it's page 39 over here. So if you're looking on this side.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And you can see the proportions here. You can see the eyes are in the halfway point, and this is what you're looking for. And here, this is the halfway point here as well, from here to here. I'll point all this stuff out. So we really get the width. We're really focusing on the width this time. We've been focusing on the height proportions. Now we're going to focus on the width. Same thing here too. You can see mostly actually the width, and then you can see the square in here. Look, notice the squares. Notice the square, because this is whole square too. From where the ear is down to the chin to the nose up here. That's a square. When we're drawing, and like even the practices that we've been doing, I haven't been getting this square. My ratios have been off, but they're right there. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's jump back. There we go. So I've got this, our center line, our brow line, our nose line, and then our chin line. Our chin line right about there. Okay, and then from here, let's see. I'm trying to figure out what they're using for the width, because depending on how far what you go, I'm trying to see a square. Hold on just a second. I can do it right here. There it is. Yeah, so that width. It's that width. Okay, so let's get a square in here. This square here. This square here is the width of the face. All right, so that's what we're going to use. So this height here, that is here. This is where it's a square. Same height, same width. So once you know the ratios, you can go as big or as small. Draw this. The size of your drawing doesn't matter. There's a scale. So there it is. That's the width. That's the line that we're looking for these four squares. And you really don't see all these squares in the proportions. All right, so there's that. So we have our square. And then here we're going to go to the middle of that and draw another line right down the middle of that line here. This is where our eyes are going to go. Eyes are going to go on that line and this line right here. And you're eyeballing this, trying to get it all together here. So you have a square cut in half, then it's cut into fourths that way. We're going to cut it one more time. Get one more in here, right in there, right in the center. We're cutting it into eighths now. Trying to find the center and then just breaking it into eighths. So that's what the drawing is indeed. If you just look at it, you see all these lines, but you don't see how it's broken down. Just breaking it in half and half again until we have our eighths. There it is. Now we need one more line, the line of where the eyes go. The eyes go right in the middle, kind of just like right below that line right in there. That's our eye line right in there. It's almost like another set of squares. Actually, that's what that is right there. Another square. So if you see that as a square, notice the width and then just bring that same distance down. That'll get you the eye line, the eye level. There's our eye level. All right, now we have a bunch of squares. We can draw what we see here. So we're going to go in here in this part off our center line, and we're going to put in that, I call it the tie, a little tie, the tie part of a tie to there. That's it. Then the brow actually goes above our brow line on this example. So this brow is going above the line a little bit. And then there's a thickness all the way out to here. And then it comes down and points right in that space right there like that. You can see that. Shading my brow in a little bit. He doesn't have his shaded. I'm shading it so you can see it, see that shape and the angles. Here we go on this other side. It's going up again. So it goes from the center out, it's going up. Center out, it's going up. Slightly up, kind of like the letter V. It's going up.
Oh, Eladio, maybe I missed something. Excuse me, I will interrupt you.
That's okay.
It's everything, the face supposed to fit to rectangle, right?
A rectangle? A square.
Rectangle. No, I don't see the square. It's the width. It's much smaller than the height. Yeah.
We're gonna go out.
No, I'm talking the whole head from the top, not counting the hair.
Yeah, there's another square up here, and then there's going to be more of a rectangle. Yeah, but where you
The square? What? Can you point again the square?
Sure. Why don't I do it in color? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do it in color so it'll be there. So
Okay.
our blue line, this is our center line. This is our center axis right there, right?
Yes.
Our center axis line. Now I'm gonna use a different color here. This is the brow line right in there. This is the brow line. This is the brow line. That's our brow line. And then below that, I got the distance from actually here, the nose. That's my nose line. This line
What the distance from the brow line to the nose line?
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You doing up from that the scale from these two lines and the center axis.
Right. Once you have this line, this will delineate this. Now you get this distance. Now you get this distance, and you go out that much. That gives you this square here.
This square. This actually two squares.
Yeah, it's two squares.
Okay, thank you.
Because this could have been lower, but once it was lower, it would make this square wider, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It would make it wider. So my drawing would be bigger. So if this line I go higher, it would make my square smaller.
Sure.
If I break it down, yeah. So it's really where you draw this line is what's gonna make everything else kind of line up. So now that I have that line, that's the same distance here. Just bring that down.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome. It's okay. No, it's good. It's good. This is all good. I want to be clear. I want to be clear. And then from here, then we break it down even further. Let's use this orange, I guess, orange. Let's see. So once we have this line here, we can get that and bring it over. And we've got that line. And then all we're doing here is just breaking each of these in half again. So that's half. And then we go half again. Right? So that's it. Ta-da. Yeah, I know. It's good. It's good. And then you look at other videos and see how other people do it. And at least here you can ask questions. Ask me to repeat something. And these eyebrows kind of go out really close to the edge, outside edge. The head actually goes further out. And these eyebrows also going above the brow line, And right below that, here, this is where this other square is, kind of like that same width of the squares we've made here from these lines. See, I'm looking at here, like this width is, and I could see it with my students too, and they would show me their work. This is not, because there's another assignment I would have them do squares. When they would do grids, I could tell when the grids are not even. But once I get this, I can see, if I were to do this, another square here, I can do that. That line would be right there to make these into squares. That's what I did up here for the eye level. That's where the eye is. All right. So right in here, this is my eye level. We're going to draw those eyes in there. From here to here is that eye, right? So from here to here is that eye. And you got to watch the angles. If there's one little angle this way, and then it kind of curves up that way. Same thing, then we're going with the top of the eye. There's going to be an angle this way, and then it curves around there, right in there. And then we're going to draw the pupil. Now this pupil is rounded, but it's underneath that the eyelid. Really important to draw it like it's underneath there. And then we'll be drawing these. We'll be drawing all this stuff in a little more detail. But for now, that's where it kind of goes. Then we've got the eyelid in here. Right in there. Let's get that little pupil, that little black part. Right in the middle. See it right there. Right in there. All right, let me zoom in. You can see my detail a little better. And then I see this shape here too, that shape, make sure that shape is good. Now we're going back over here, get that eye in here as well. See, it's going to be in here, almost like that. I see that oval shape. That's right in there, kind of sketched it in. But we're getting a little more angles, getting that angle up and then angle around to that part. Getting it to fit. And this coming down and then this up here. So usually a little stronger of an angle, a little more steep on the inside part of the eye. You want to look at those shapes. There we go with this eye. Try to get it to making sure it's lining up. Get it to be about the same size, that same pupil. Bring it up underneath the top eyelid. And then if you don't get it, that's okay. When we get into drawing the specifics next week, we're going to actually get into the specifics next week. We'll specifically draw noses, mouths. That's what's next. Because we've just been getting the proportions and these proportions here. Now we'll be a little more specific with drawing the eyes, the nose, mouths. We'll do that next week. So that'll be next week. Unless you do it on your own, practice on your own. I see my notes. I'm going to bring out another sheet of paper probably for, oh, and actually we're going to do it on the side here. The bridge of the nose right in here, coming, it actually goes out and it's going to fit in here in this space. The nose fits in this space, right? Okay. And I saw the TikTok where you draw a triangle and then a triangle inside the triangle. Actually, why don't we do that? Because it kind of comes out like this. And he's using and then he draws a triangle inside that triangle like that to get that nose shape. And it's kind of like that. But we need to, his is a little more wider. I would kind of like more of a parentheses in there. little more of a parenthesis, but it's this width. You see this nose inside of the eye right here, all the way down. That's how wide the nose is. Bring that inside of the wide right in there. That's where that nose is. There's little shadows and stuff, but the and we'll get into the detail. The nostril goes right in here. A little bit of a curve comes down on this side. A little bit of a curve on the inside comes down. There it is. And then there's a reflected light, but we're doing like a coarse shadow by just drawing this line in here, or shape. It's a little bit of a shape underneath it right there. That coarse shadow coming up and around, make that bulb part of the nose. This whole part of the nose is bulb, kind of like a bulb shape. There's the nose. Let's get the outside a little bit, this outside. And there it is, that bulb. That's looking good, it's looking good. 6 o'clock. Here we go, drawing faces. Oh, somebody sent me a good afternoon. All right, so from here, you can see the width of the nose, the mouth. Let's see, they're calling it, where's half? Oh, the half is where the lip actually is. So if we're finding here and here, the half is where the bottom of the lip is. Interesting, because if that's he's finding that as the bottom of the lip, and then that's interesting. Then up here is where the middle of the mouth is. The middle of the mouth is, and we're just going straight out. I see fractions. I see half and half. Yeah. So I don't know if maybe we'll bring this up a little higher, but it doesn't look like half and half to me. It looks like this is a little bit less, but somewhere in there. And it goes out to the middle of the eye. So this middle of the eye, bringing it down to there. That's how wide that mouth is, right in there. Oh. Now let's get the shape of this mouth. The shape of this mouth, really nice shape of this mouth. It goes out here. Let's get I usually draw the middle of the mouth anyways first. So let's draw the middle of the mouth. So there's a little bit of a cup right in here. And then here, and trying to get this whole shape, almost like a bird's wings. It feels like a bird's wings as it's kind of like stepping out right there. That line is really crucial. See where that line is. And then the top lip actually comes in up and then dips right in there like that. Right, there it is, that space. And usually this is shaded because it's going back into space, so the light doesn't hit it as much. So all that would be shaded right in there like that. And then we've got the round bottom lip. That's right here. It's a little rounded, kind of like that. Coming along. Well, we've got most of the face done, the important part. And then this is what mostly people do. They when they're first, this is like, and then they forget about all this space up here, because like right here, this is the middle of the face. So from here, from the eye to the chin, that's how much space is up here as well, up here to the top, which too close for you to tell, but from the chin is the same space, chin to the eye to the top of the head. And these are the spots you should be looking for when you're drawing a face to get the proportions, because some people are going to be wider, some people are going to be longer, different wide, long. Why the long face? Well, that's what I thought I saw. Yeah, it's just all right. Let's get in here. All right, so the ears coming out here. Yeah, the ears are lining up to that. They're kind of coming out. Two more squares out. So this distance from here to here, we're going to go out that much and do two more like that. Two more out this way. Two more out to the side, because we have our square. Let me show you our square. Ooh, this would be good. I like this. So here's our square. That's square. Here's the face is square right in there. This whole blue. You blew it. That square right in there. That's a good one to see. that one. And then we're bringing it out 2 more on both sides for the ears. Bringing it out 1, 2, the left and the right. There we go. All right, let's get this jawline in here. Jawline, it rests right at the bottom here, right at the bottom of our screen, right here at the bottom. That's the jaw, comes out. It starts going up, right where the mouth starts going up. So it's that wide here. And sometimes I do see that. I see that kind of like trying to see connections, trying to see big shapes. This shape kind of helps me. Like, oh, okay, I see that shape. I'm not just drawing this line, I'm drawing this shape, getting that form of that chin. Then it comes straight out, and it comes out to our square, the square here. So it comes up to right below that mouth part, right up in here, right up in there to that blue line, right up in there. There we go, that jawline back up. And this jawline back up. That blue line right in there. There we go. Oh, like nothing. Nothing says loving from something from the oven. There we go. All right. And then once it goes here, see the jawline? Once it goes here, then it starts going outside our square, outside our square. It's going outside our square right here. It's going outside our square. Just a little bit, and then bring it up. Bring it up. Just a little bit, bring it up. There we go. A little bit of a bag. Where do you want these bags? Right about here. Right in there. And they're soft lines. They're not really hard edges. These soft edges, depends on the person. This one has a little bit. And then this one also has a little bit of a cheekbones right in here. You can feel them right in there, right in here. A little bit of a cheekbone. There it is. All right, let's get those ears in there, and then the hair. And that's it. We're done. So the ears coming out in here. See, always got to look at how they. Sometimes they're higher, sometimes they're lower. Depends on the head. Sometimes the head's tilting, but if the head's looking at you pretty straight, then the ears kind of line up with the brow and the nose, like it does here. So the ear kind of, we're going to come down at this angle. We're going to go out at an angle. See that angle? And then up at an angle. There, see these 2 angles. And then usually the top. It kind of curves. Sometimes it's curved like that. But it's good to see kind of those 2 angles. It really helps with the drawing. This side too. And it doesn't go all the way out. It's inside our square here. It doesn't go all the way out. So we're getting this angle here. So we're right about there. That angle, and then bringing it back down and around the lobe, whatever that lobe is. And then the top, rounding it out. Although, yeah, this one probably be a little straighter. Depends on the ears. And there's all kinds of shapes and all kinds of stuff. And then it would really get the inside. When we get into drawing the eyes and the specifics next week, hopefully we get to the ears. Definitely do eyes, nose, mouth. And if we get to the ears, we get to the ears next week. And then the inside of the ear, all the little parts. And this part, the tragus, is it called the tragus? And there's, put it in there. All this is usually in shade. Right in there. But this part right here, this little tragus. Then it goes up the inner ear, that little rail that kind of comes up around on the outside part of the ear and the inside. And that shape inside all the little, sometimes you just shade it in, hide it. There we go. There's our ears. Pretty close. I'm going to bring everything down so we can just get the hair out of the way. Get the hair out of the way. Your hair's in your face. Get it out of the way. All right. So, we're going to, before I continue, we're going to get this measurement here from the brow to this and bringing that up. That's kind of already there, but that's our other square. So we actually have, we look at this square here, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares. Yeah, let's see, let's zoom out. There it is. So you can see two more squares at the top. We have our square at the bottom, and bring that up. I'll get that up there, that forehead. And then we actually go on top of that even more. Huh. Yeah, it's probably one more square. That's what it is up here. So if we get the center of our eye, bring that up, and then see that the width from here to here, that's how much higher it should be. This should be kind of like a square in there. You see that square? That kind of gets you the height of that head. See, where when I really point out these relationships, and this really helps your drawing. Sometimes you're like, oh, how high do we go? Or how, you know, is that's your ratios. Your ratios, got to get the ratios in. Sometimes you miss it. I got to make sure I explain it. There we go. Put that other square on there. All right, let's zoom in and just focus on that now. Bam. All right, so right in here, right at the top, right that line, right in there, probably almost as wide as that, a little bit less than the nose width in here. And then it goes back like a receding hairline back up here. Then it comes in, and then it swoops down to that line like that. There we go. Kind of like that. So this big bird up, and then swoops down right in there. The hairline. There's the hairline. Hairline, Caroline. And then we got temples. I always see this temple here. That temple always, there's always that space for that temple. This is these good points right in here. Because it's usually flat right in here. This whole forehead's flat. And then right at this temple line is where it starts going back into space. Back into space. And sometimes you can shade it a little bit because the light doesn't hit it. And so it gets shaded back. Like while I'm shading it. In his drawing, it doesn't have it shaded. I'm doing a little more shading than the original. There it is. That temple. Temple Grandin. She's cool. If you know who that is. They've got a movie about her. Temple Grandin. She's autistic. Actually, she's autistic. Not artistic. Well, actually, she was artistic as well. She would design.
She has a PhD in animal science.
Yeah, she does.
And she's written a bunch of books.
Uh-huh.
And she designs corrals.
Yes, the corrals. She can visualize everything, all the parts of the corral. Really interesting. All right. So we're going to go up in here. If you can see the movie, see that. Highly recommend it. Right up in this whole space, right in there, up, and then just up and around. And it goes above this line up here, actually goes above that line, the hairline, because this is the top of the skull, and then the hair going above it. If you were, Superman could see 3D, that would be in there like that. And of course, everybody's hair a little bit different, and a little bit try to capture that wave, or its different characteristics. Yeah, this one has little bumps in it. There we go. Bring it out, bring it down, bring it down. Yeah, see, this really helps me kind of describe certain things. And a little bit of shade to the hair. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, because that skull's in there, and then the hair's like on top. But you should kind of get that solidness underneath, the solidness of the head inside that hair when you draw it, because he does have it. It's just that skull, and then the hair's just like resting on top. All right, that looks good. Now let's zoom out, and we're done. Ta-da! That looks good. And then he's got the neck, no neck muscles. We'll have to. And the comment that I saw was somebody else's video. They said, "Now I can draw stick figures with realistic heads." We'll get to the body next month. We'll get to bodies, drawing bodies. Yeah, it all comes together. Same thing with wrap. You're just looking at ratios, height and width ratios. Then you're looking at angles. and then proportions, and then, you know, it all comes together and like, well, there, I'm drawing it, I'm doing it. It's kind of like you're riding a bike. And at first you're trying to just focus on the pedaling. Then you're focusing on your balancing. And then and then it all just comes together. And you're like, I'm doing it. And it's exciting, actually. It's kind of exciting. All right, let's get to our next square. We're going to use this square to help ourselves with our next square, because we're going to line this one up. So if you made space, great. If you didn't, well, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Get another sheet of paper and kind of put it next to it. I don't know. We'll see. I didn't make any plans or tell you to do that. I kind of did it like it is in the book. So we're going to get the top line right in here, bring that across. The bottom line, bring that across. I'm using the edge of my paper too. That kind of helps me draw straight lines. I can put my finger at this edge, careful not to get paper cut, and just kind of like, you know, oh, there it is. I'm using my edge, my paper to kind of make straight lines. Using it to rest. All these little tricks you learn by doing, practicing. And you might already do it on your own. There it goes. That's it. And let's get the main lines. The nose line. And copy those straight across. There we go. There we go. The brow line. There it is. There it is. There we go. We got our lines. Now let's get this vertical line right in here. There we go. Yeah, when I'd have students create model sheets, they never create it. And I would tell them, make your lines, make your lines. I'm not going to give you credit if you don't make your lines. And what? You didn't tell us. Yes, you got to make these lines to make sure it lines up. When it turns in space, your characters will turn in space. This helps keep your proportions. Keep the proportions, because, you know, when your head turns, the location is still kind of in the same place. All right, so let's get this. Let's get our squares in. So we got our first line here. We've got our width here. So we're going to use the same width from here to here. Get our next square. So we're going to use that, bring it in, eyeball that square right in here. This is the first square, that square right there. See that square? That square, and then just bring it up, bring it up, bring it down. All that whole line. That's our first square. Then our next square. Right in there. There we go. Sketch that in. And then a third square. Right in there like that. That's a good one. Now I'm going to run out of space. The head actually comes out even further. Maybe I can move everything over slightly. That would help. See, this is why, you know, you want to begin with the end in mind, or see the big picture. Once you see the big picture, you can make changes. You see, if changing this whole drawing would be a little bit harder. But since I'm doing it, let's just do it. It's like, oh man, it's easier to do it now than later. So just move everything over just slightly. There's more space to the right. Actually, move it over even more. It's crazy sketching. But this is the square you want. This is the one you want. From here to here. And then here to here. I'm doing it the same color as our other square over here. This top right there, that one. This one, this square right here. Yeah, this square. Bam, bam. That one. There's our main square. There we go. There we go. That should be better. Okay. Let's get our eye line in there. Our eyeliner. Our eye line right in there. Get it to line up right in there. And all right, let's start breaking it apart. So we're gonna this one is actually broken into thirds. This part of the face is broken down into thirds. So here's our square, but this is broken down into thirds. So let's see. I have to eyeball it. So thirds, break it down into thirds. 1, 2, 3, right there. See, and then that line right there. I like that one. All these lines that are wrong. That one in the middle. All right. So there's our thirds, 1, 2, 3. And I'm just going to draw them straight up and down. Let's draw straight up and down. Bring it down, bring it down. Using the side of my paper here to get a straighter line. Watch out for those paper cuts. There we go. They're not fun. Your finger has more sensory nerves. So yeah, those paper cuts, then it's really tactile. That's why we're builders, we're makers. All right, here we go. So let's start off with that same tie part, the tie part of the nose. The tie part of the nose comes right in here. This is right, this point right here. We're going to come in slightly, right in there, and then we're going to go out. There is a little bit of a bump in this nose, a little bit of right before the cartilage. There's a name for that. Put that little bit of a bump. Then it comes down and it comes to that point there. And then it comes back and in right on that, our nose line. Our nose line, and it comes, right in there. Okay, so it's that third, this third part. From the thirds comes in, then it goes out. If you get that bump, great. If you don't, like I did, you really start feeling the form like there you go. That's it right there. I just put it in. I didn't, let's erase it a little bit. Erase. There it is. A little bit of a, and then here the tip of the nose too. The tip of the nose has a little bit of a bump as well. It comes in and then back out. Then it comes in at that angle. Kind of comes in straight to our thirds. Now on this thirds is where the lip is. Let's zoom in so you can see what's going on a little bit better. This whole square, here's our square. There's our magic square where most of the magic happens, right? And so here we go. Put that nose in there. All right, we're going to do this outline. It's good to see the tip of the nose to the chin, and that really helps. Because this angle here sometimes is this way, sometimes that way. So you see the point of the nose to the point of the chin, and ours is kind of like right in there, the thirds, in that thirds part. All right, so here we're going to go outside that thirds just a little bit. Come in our ooh. All right, so this is let's bring that mouth line over. We're going to bring that mouth line over. It's just like a square right in there. There it is. So I'm going to bring that mouth line over. That's where our mouth is. Same place, but it's coming out. And this lip, see that angle? And ooh. Actually, it's on the inside of that line. My bad. I think, yeah. Let me. My brain was on something else. Yeah, let's bring it down right on the line. Just bring it back a little bit more. Yeah, this is what I was talking about here, the chin, because the chin comes out. All right, so if you have it on that line, that mouth line right in there comes in. There it is. And then it goes back out. Right in there. And this usually curves. This is full. The bottom lip is full. So there's a little bit of a curve to it. A little bit of a curve. Then it comes in. There's the in part. And he's got a real angular chin. So it's kind of coming out at an angle. And there's that thickness. Then he actually has it coming back as well. Right in there. That's it. That goes back in here. That's good. And when you have that tip of the nose to the tip of the mouth, you get this shape that's in here. This shape is really interesting. This one that I'm shading in right now. This is good to see because that negative space, looking at what's not there, helps you draw what's there. Like seeing this shape here, seeing like this looks like a nose and then almost looks like another character in here. That really helps. That really helps. You're looking at that negative space. All right, so there's that that part. I'm going to stop real quick so make sure you get it. All right, here we go. All right, let's do the inside of the mouth. The inside of the mouth comes out to that other third here. We broke it into thirds, so it comes down and goes a little past that third mark. And let's get that lip line. This lip line comes up and then down onto that inside mouth. And it tapers, it tapers. So I would shade that in. Pushes it back. And then here you have the bottom lip and that part rounded. I'll probably pull it in a little bit more. And then that bottom part underneath would be shaded. And he just has a line right there. There's a little line indicating that, but all this would be in shade. All right, that looks good. All right, let's get that inside part of the nose, the nostril. The inside part, this is the dark part, like right in here. See that little oval, like right there. See that oval, and then it just curves like right there, like that, boom, like that, like almost like a comma, comedian. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but it's all good. And then we got our three angles. Our angle going back, up, and then around. Right in there, this nostril part. Bam, right in there. All right. Now the eye. Ooh, the challenging eye. This is an sideways eye. We haven't really drawn these too much. But right here, right where these two lines kind of meet, this whole part, right? This is where that kind of that eye is. Where these two, the thirds and that part right there, and it would be round, the pupil. It's that pupil there, and over that pupil is the eyelid, right? So if that eye is right there, the eyelid goes over it and out, right? So here's the eyelid, and then the thickness goes on the outside of this part right there. And then it comes in. And then out. The bottom eyelid. Right in there. And this one doesn't have the pupils, but the pupils would be rounded like that as well, like right in there. And underneath that eyelid. And then let's not forget our bags. Got to check them in right about there. All right, that's good. There's a cheek line right in here. There's our cheek line. Okay. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. Out. Get the forehead. That forehead. Get that hairline. Bring that back. There's our hairline. And that forehead kind of, there's two bumps. There's this bump here, and then this other bump that passes the hairline and actually crosses over that point right there where these two lines cross right there, that point. And another bump. So there's two bumps. There's the cranial forehead bump, and then there's that forehead bump. And I'm sure they all have names. Then it curves up and around. What's crazy is see this quarter of this square is where all the information is. This square here where there's nothing is usually drawn. This is where we've actually been doing too. We draw the ears too close, so our proportions are off. The ears are actually way out here, way out here, way out there. That's so crucial when you're drawing a face. The ears are way out here, and notice it's the same height as this ear here, there to there. That ear fits right in here. And yeah, right in there. And we're looking at it straight on almost. Flaps out. Flaps out. Then we've got this is a really interesting here. Let's get the eyebrows in, and then we'll talk about the shapes in between the shapes. So the eyebrow right in here comes back up, resting on the brow line. Actually goes above the brow line and then comes down. Brow up and then down. That's all good. It's just practice. There's the brow. Then we've got our temple Grandin back again. Bring that in. Now here, the hairline, this hairline, see there's this angle here, and then this angle here. And I usually try to see this shape in between this line. So getting this line in brings it down and then back. But I see this shape in here, and it tapers as it kind of goes between the eyebrow and the hairline. There's this shape right in there. Try to see that shape, and that helps with my proportions and stuff. This goes back this way. Then the ear, we'll get the ear to fit back here. All right, so inside that line, we're going to get that line there. And the top of the ear straight back. And then this coming back like this. And then here two angles, one angle here, and then another angle kind of there. And then the bottom angle just up. See those angles. So when you see the angles, it really helps drawing the shape, even though it's more curved. But if you see these angles, it really helps you, because curving is really easy to do afterwards. You can slightly curve that. But if you see the angles, it actually helps drawing more accurate. All right, let's get that inside part of the ear, the inside there, and then the tragus, and that top half right in there, and then it comes in back, up, and in. And the outer ear up here, this part, up and over, and back, and all the shapes that go in there. All right, that's it. Let's get that jaw. This is the jaw right in here. This whole square kind of coming back up into here and then down and in, right in there in that square. And you almost see this triangle shape. This triangle shape kind of helps on this square. That triangle shape there comes in and then down out at an angle. Yeah. There's muscles in here, but outside the square is the outside of the head. You'll see that neck is pretty wide out here. And this hairline comes back. That's that hairline. I would shade all that in. The back of the head comes back. So you have that cranial round back head. And back around. And this is the cranium, but the hair does go on top. So the hair goes up on top, one angle, and then angle up. And then back above the line and back. That whole space. Notice up to the left and straight up. And then up and back. And he does have kind of like a receding hairline. I don't know what's there. Bring it over down right there as it comes back. Bringing the hair back, bringing the hair back. This is where you almost really need to almost feel that the skull coming back right in here. Really that skull that's in there. It helps me make this shape more solid. All right, the hair kind of comes to a point. The trapezium actually goes back. And then this would go forward. And then you'd have a shoulder up in here. Oh, you can't see it. Zoom out. Yeah. It's coming that, and then you have the shoulder kind of coming out and back. And this would go forward. Yeah, something like that. I'm drawing more than there is, but These are things to look for, this angle here, the shoulder here, which actually comes out. This is a three-dimensional thing. When we get to the body, we'll get to that. That's it. There's our front view, side view. It is 6:31. Let's see. That's pretty good. We got to the proportions of the male head. There's another one, 3/4 view. That's a good one. Muscles of the head and face. Yeah, the muscles. That's a good one. I actually have drawn that for a class. Drew the muscles. It's good to draw because then you can see the muscles. There's actually another book, a little more detail, which is actually really good. The shading. And then expressions. Yeah, the expressions. How the muscles function and the expressions with a smile, a laugh, making a person look worried, frown, angry. Oh, here, neck muscles, muscles from various angles. That's on page 48. Why you need anatomy to draw heads. Yeah, it's a whole article there. Drawing anatomy heads. Yeah. Yeah, because that's, yeah, knowing how the mouth and the mandible opens up. Yeah, there you go. That's good. All right, so it gets into drawing lips. Maybe we should get a head start. Oh, the eye. Maybe we can get the head start on the eye today. And that way we'd have less. Yeah, at least we have a half an hour at least. So why don't we go drawing on the eyes, eyeballs. And then that way we can just focus on the mouth, the nose, and the ears next week. And then expressions as well. Yeah, oh yeah, expressions. We'll get into expressions. Oh yeah, look at those expressions. Yeah, I've got some expressions going on. That'll be next week. Yeah, there we go. That looks good. All right, so let's do this eyes. Let's do the eyes. Because the eyes, yeah, we'll probably do the eyes again next week. But let's do some eyes. Just a quick, because you got to practice the eyes, the windows to the soul. Practice. And don't just do my video. Don't just do me. Look for other videos. Look for other things, you know, like maybe they explain it a different way. Maybe they do it better. Maybe they do it worse. And you can see like, oh, okay, wait a minute. You want to immerse yourself. All right, so the eyeball, the structure is really just a sphere again. That's why you got to practice drawing your circles. And then every time you draw, you're going to just get improve. And let's get the axis lines in here. We got top line. Let's focus in, zoom in. And then you can just practice just drawing eyes. Axis line. There's our axis lines. And then half of that, that's the pupil right in there. Half of that, that's the pupil. See that these points right there. You can do the half up here as well. Half, and then just connect those as you go around like this. And I'm holding my pencil like this. Some artists tell you to hold a pencil like this. But especially when you're drawing the figure, when we get to drawing the figure, we'll probably focus on that a little bit more. So there's the pupil, the iris. The actual pupil is in here, the dark black part. This is the part that gets bigger or smaller to let more light in. If you're excited as well, they do open up so you get more light in, really see what's going on in the world around you. As far as if it's danger or if it's something else. You know, your eyes to see what's going on. All right, so there's that. And we've already did this with the head, drawing the spheres. I'll just draw another one here at an angle. So here, this one is another one at an angle. I'm going to start drawing a little faster. If you want, in the meantime, get more circles on your paper and practice this. Practice this as this eyeball kind of turns in space. This is almost like if you can see the I guess the moon right now is like a little sliver, or was the other night. It's probably getting closer to this, or even half moon. Halfway, probably getting close to half tonight. But you can't see it. It's raining here in Southern California. But it's that little sliver. And then we're going to bring this down. Bring it down and around. that way, this part around. Almost like you're getting a ball and you're cutting it in half. You're getting that form, really trying to see. You almost have to get a ball, actually, and then put the lines on it and see how it really changes and turns. I had this one here and really see how it turns. It's not exactly a ball, it's gotten smashed and stuff, but you can see how it changes, how it curves. I mean, it's a straight line when you're looking at it straight, but when you bring it down or you bring it up, it curves the other way. There's an interesting trick. Let me see. Let's do that. With a dollar bill, bring out Mr. Bill Washington. Is it this face? Yeah. Oh, let's do this one. This will probably work better. Abraham Lincoln. So if you, let's see, how did they do it? Right down the middle, fold it this way. And you fold it back and forth, I think. Yeah. Like that. And you can look at his face and he looks like he's smiling. Notice how he looks like he's smiling? It's because of that curve. And if you go this way, he looks a little more serious.
Oh, yeah.
Looks a little more serious. So yeah, here he's smiling a little bit more. Notice that. Oh, there he is. And that's just the way, things curve in space. A little trick. Good to hear a chuckle. A little laugh out there. All right, so then the top of our line here. So then here's our, and the bottom, trying to get that pupil in there. And this one, because it's going sideways, this also turns into an oval. If we're looking at it straight, it's a circle, and sideways, it's an oval, kind of like right in there. With this side, actually, because it's closer to us, it's a little bit wider. And as it goes back, there it goes, like that. And there's that oval. And then here we go. Practice these. Good practice. Because we're not going to do this next week. We'll draw the other parts of the eye. As it's now 6:40. Bam, bam. Here, let's draw another one. Different angles. Just practice and practice drawing your circles. It's always good because then you get practice drawing the shape of a head. This one's moving a little bit closer, a little bit further in. A little rounder, because this eyeball turns inside your skull. And this is going to be a rounder. It's still not perfectly round. It's still kind of oval because it's not totally facing us. But it's right up there. That pupil. And again, the bends on. You can do it all sketchy. So I mean, it's a sketch. You want it to be a drawing, then you're really focusing on line quality and all that stuff. I've had some teachers that like really focus on line quality. Yeah, but you're just sketching. This is just your learning. You want to focus on one thing at a time. What are you focusing on? What's your focus? Yeah, what's your focus? Oh, where's my notes? I wanted to share that. Yep. Yeah. Complexity is the enemy of execution. But it's from simple, starting off simple, and then don't let that complexity. Once you hit that wall, you'll feel it. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting it. And you'll stop, but you want to fight that because that's where the learning is. Wherever that level of complexity, even though we try to keep it simple. Self-esteem, yeah, and then your self-esteem really builds because you're taking on something difficult. Now this is actually a really interesting point. This does pop out, the cornea. Let's talk about that on this one, closer to a profile. Let's draw another one. Yeah, because drawing is tough. You're taking on that challenge. And if you can take on drawing, a lot of people say, I can't draw a stick figure, I can't draw a straight line, you'll hear it. Or if you haven't already. or maybe you say it, but you're taking on a challenge, and that really builds your self-esteem, because if you can take on things, it's a skill. All right, here's another important point. This cornea does pop out slightly. It does pop out. If it was like a, that's, yeah, let's make it a, is there one there? Oh, it's showing it at the bottom in a profile almost. It does pop out. So it's not a perfectly round. There is a little bit of a convex part to that part of the eye. And then you have the iris. And then inside that, which is interesting, is that the pupil. So if you're really seeing the way it's constructed, it's really interesting, because inside here, and if you're looking at that angle, you'll see that it's actually inside. There's like this little liquid space. And then here's where the pupil is actually inside that. But yeah, this is all detail. And then also we have the iris. But all this takes a little bit of studying and seeing it, but it does pop out slightly. All right, let's see. Oh, and then the highlight. No, we didn't talk about highlight. That's what's shading. Depending on where the light's coming from, it's just a reflection. And because the eye is wet and shiny, you would have to, yeah. And the white of the eye isn't always straight white. I mean, there's always like a little bit of a shade to it. That's pretty good. Then the iris design on it. All right. All right, well, we're going to do, let's do some eyelids. 643. We should do a realistic eye. We'll do a realistic eye. All right. Actually, why don't we do this over here? So the eyelid, I'm going to just draw it over this eye here. The eyelid would go over it, this eyelid. So this is where this oval here gets cut off. The eyelid. You want to see that space, and then it comes down and cuts in there. A straight line. And then you have the eyelashes, that thickness. Usually there's a thickness to that. You can bring those eyelashes down, that thickness of that line right in there as it tapers, comes down. And then there's a thickness here that covers over the eyeball. It's kind of like on that right there. That's the eyelid. That eyelid kind of goes over right into here. There's the eyelid. It's really interesting the way things fold in here too. I mean, it depends as you're looking, but sometimes this folds. Epicantic fold. I don't know what it's called, but there's a fold here sometimes. This eye will fold. Eyelid will fold underneath that top part. Notice the thickness of this, and the eyelashes. Sometimes they kind of come out. And careful not to make them look like spider legs. All right, and then the bottom. The bottom, always you'll see the inside of the thickness of this eye as it wraps around here. You'll see there's a little bit of the thickness of the skin that's right there. That shows sometimes. And then you'll have the eyelashes kind of sticking out below that, or on top of that, like right there. And again, be careful not to make them look like spider legs, like I just did. And triangulate them. It's some kind of almost a battle you have to do, and kind of be conscious of it and say, oh, no spider legs. Just say no to spider legs. Spider legs, spider legs. All right, there we go. And then just seeing how everything kind of connects, fits together. That's not bad. It was good practice, and this would again be shaded slightly. Shaded. All right, let's get to a realistic eye. We'll call it a night. let's get to a realistic eye. Here we go. Let's get this realistic eye going. We'll use this drawing here, and we'll do a realistic eye right in here. It's going to be straight ahead realistic eye. So we got our circle here. I'm starting off with the pupil a little bit backwards. Then we'll draw the eye itself. Let's get that whole eye in there. I'm drawing that first eye up here, this first eye. So I'm trying to draw that around it now. Going around. I'm making this a little bit light because I'm gonna make it a little more realistic. So I'm sketching really lightly. Just getting that foundation in there, sketching it in lightly. Let's shoot for some values and shading right now. The values. I like values. That's one of my favorite words. What do you value? What's important to you? As you come onto a new year, you know, what's important? What do you value? And how do you show it? All right, so there's let's get some axis lines. I'm gonna try to get them really light. There we go. Really light value. There it is. All right. Speaking of the highlight, let's get the highlight of the day. I'm going to throw it off center a little bit. I'm going to throw it off center to the left. So here's my center line, off center to the left, inside the space. I'm going to, that's going to be the white of the eye, not the white of the eye, but the highlight of the eye. The highlight of the day. Right there, that's where the highlight is. And then underneath that is going to be the pupil. That's the darkest part of the eye. So that's this part right here, that one. And here, let's zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Really get in there. I'm trying to make it as round as I can, but it's okay. See, it's not, eye's actually not perfectly round. It's really close to it, but it's not always. I'm going to go ahead and draw the pupil. The pupil is going to go underneath my highlight. So it's going underneath my highlight. And this is the darkest part of the eye. This pupil, a little circle, trying to get it round as I can. And this is where the darkest part, I'm going to go really dark value, the darkest value I can get in here. This is where it's going to be. And it's going to be next to the highest value, which is my highlight. And that's where you get the most contrast right there. Really pushing hard on this right now. Well, getting it, the dark area, the dark part of the eye. Getting it really, really dark. That pupil. All the light goes in. All the light gets captured into the darkness of your brain and says, hey, I see light outside my window. So there's that. Try to get it as round as possible. There it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on the iris now. The colored part of the eye. Make sure it's rounded. Get that part maybe a little bit darker right at the edge. A little bit darker, and all the patterns and colors. And one time, this girl, really pretty eyes. Oh my God. And yeah, she was, I guess, a girlfriend for a bit. So I was just looking at her eyes at the sunset too. It was like, oh my gosh. And I can totally remember the brown of the eyes, and it's kind of like oranges and a little bit of greens. Really beautiful eyes as the sun was setting. Just a memorable moment. So what's happening here, let's say we're gonna cut before we start shading it. Let's block this in. Right at the top, I'm going to put the eyelid and the top eyelid before we start shading. I want to keep my eyelid here, so it covers that like straight across, and then it comes down at an angle to this outside part of that circle, right about there.
It doesn't matter. It's a right eye or a left eye.
Oh yeah, it does matter. So this is the there would be another eye over here. So this is the right eye. I mean, I don't know, left eye. So there would be another eye on this side, because the inside is where the aqueduct, the little duct is. So yeah, we are doing the if I'm looking at this person, their left eye, right? This would be the left eye. This would be the right eye. But for us, is our right. This is the right eye on the right side, and then there's an eye going to be on the left side. So yeah, it does matter, because this inside line here is usually the one that's a stronger angle, right up in here, because this is where the duct is. So this stronger angle, and then it usually swoops down. So this is a steeper angle on the inside, and then it swoops around. So, I mean, if you see it as two angles, that's great. This angle up and then this angle down, but it's two parts. And then right in here is the duct, a little bit of a duct, and the duct where and then it curves around the, there it goes straight, curves around back up to the close off the white of the eye. Bringing it up, and you want to see the shape. This shape, you do see these shapes, these triangular. I think they remind me of fish, like fish heads, like little angel fish, like especially this little tip of the point right there. And I try to see this white as a shape, that white shape. It's the shape of the eye. All right, there it is. All right, let's get some of that shading in there. Let's do the shading now that I have this cut off. And then I can actually erase that, because that's kind of like the eyelash is going to go in that space. All right, so bring some of that shadow. This is going to be in shadow because of the thickness of that eyelid. This is in shadow in here. So I'm going dark again, but then I'm slowly bringing it up, that value. Really haven't talked about values and shading, but all this would be, and a good thing to do is to kind of get it all just shaded one light value. I'm actually bringing it up. I'm not pressing as hard as I come down. I'm actually bringing it lighter as it comes down. This whole square, kind of almost getting it one value first, and then I build up on those values and get that one nice light shaded over the whole thing. And then if I need to bring out more shade, I can put more shade or values in it as it slowly goes down. And then I can put textures on it too, from the center out. And there's, and sometimes you almost have to scribble these lines in as they go in there. Depends on how much detail you want to go in to. You don't have to do all this detail. Like some of those other faces, we didn't even draw these eyes. But here, this is you're seeing how all this is kind of put together. And putting some of those little lines and veins, and they're interesting, almost like little scribbles kind of going back and forth. You don't want to, again, stay, really observe and look at something that you're looking and copying at, and make sure you're not making it look like spider eyes. That's the whole thing. That takes a little bit of practice, but you've got the space in there to get that texture. It's kind of like a texture, but the structure of it is more important, like the circle and the circle inside the circle. And then afterwards, you can do all kinds of stuff in here. And I've done myself, like all kinds of rainbow colors, or, because there is some little bit of reflection. You get all kinds of other stuff happening in this eye. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and start shading around here a little bit, bring a really light shade and here where the duct is, and then bringing a little bit of a shadow. See that shadow right in there, and it's the shadow of this eye lid. Same thing over here on this side, a little bit of shadow of that eyelid right in there as it goes up and over. And even in here, where it was, it should maybe put a little bit darker. Again, there it is. And then a little bit of, so it's not completely white, just a slight shade of slight value right underneath as it comes underneath. It's really light, really light. There we go, just softening that. We're actually putting a little more values than what he has in his drawing. And then the duct, there's like a little knot in here. That's actually, this is where the water makes it glossy. It comes here, it squirts into your eye, and you kind of, when you blink, it brings it around. It's amazing that how your body does all these things without you having to think about it. Does it automatically. Just do it. Take it for granted how amazing we are just to be here. All right. Let's get that thickness of the bottom lid. It's coming in here a little bit. There's that thickness. Let's clean this up because this is actually reflects. And there's like little details. I mean, like even like highlights. You even get highlights in here. You would get highlights, like a little bit of highlights, like right at the edge sometimes. It depends on how much detail you want to look at. You know, you don't have to get all this detail all the time, but it depends. And you're going to have to decide, oh, I'm going to go a lot of detail. I'm going to go a little detail. I'm going to go no detail. But, you know, and that just comes with practice and time and say, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to copy every little bubble that's inside the pupil. I'm just trying to capture the structure of it right now. All right, so this is the lid. That eyelid kind of comes up. These eyelashes go cover it. And then here you would have a little bit of a shadow underneath that. And this shadow or the eyeball, sometimes that's where the bag of the eye kind of sometimes echoes the eyeball right in there. Coming up just a little bit of shade. It depends on your shading, tight shading. I haven't really talked about shading. Gotta get that value in there. I haven't really talked about how to shade. There's a couple ways you can do hatching. I'm doing really tight hatching. Circles. I do a combination of all the above. In his work, he really does hatching in Loomis's work. All right, let's get this eyelid now. Let's go over it. This comes up at this angle. There's one angle here, another angle there, and then it swoops on this other side, swoops down to like that. It's pretty wide eye right in there. This side, a little bit of shadow. Underneath this, all this would be a little bit of shadow and probably even reflected light. I sometimes put reflected light right in here. Reflected light is, you know, it's a bouncing light that all this is in shade here. And then it goes a little bit darker, but there's a little bit of light that bounces sometimes right in there, right in that spot. Let me show you how. So I shaded it all one value. Then I'm going a little bit darker. I'm pushing it just a little bit darker, because that's that kind of like a core shadow right in there. And then you can see here, like it's lighter. And then here, a little bit of a shade in there. Actually soften up. It depends on the edge. Sometimes you get this soft edge. It's not a sharp line. There we go. And then we'll do the eyelashes and then, well, pretty much done for the day. Call it a day. It's, yeah, 7 o'clock. I'll call it a day. We got our eye pretty realistic. Eye kind of realistic. We could probably go more and get more detail, more shading, but yeah, next week. See, I can just really quickly see I'm hatching really quickly. Just getting some real quick hatch lines, and that just comes with practice as you practice shading spaces and hatching. I like that.
You know, it's kind of a generic eye because you have, you know, you have droopy eyelids, you have where you barely see the eyelid, etc.
Yeah, it's very generic. We still have to do the eyelashes.
I mean, it's nice, but you know, there are different types of eyelids.
Oh yeah.
The eyeball itself is probably always the same.
Yeah.
But the eyelids are what make the, you know, the character, the personality.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah. Some people.
Age.
And age, yes, and age.
The age.
Yeah, the age, they do change. Age, yeah. Sometimes, yeah, you don't have eyelids. Some eyelids are really wide, some are really small. But yeah, this is a generic. It's just to get people started. But yeah, eyelids are it really shows character. Some eyelids are really big. I mean, yeah. They go way back here. Some people don't have, you know, the epicantic fold. They don't have the eyelid at all. Or it's really, yeah. But definitely that's one of the variants, one of the differences that really can show what a character of a person. All right, so let's get these eyelashes in here. They are triangular, so I try not to make spider legs. I'm just actually exaggerating a little bit from what the book has, just to kind of get them in there. The book doesn't really have too many eyelashes, and they do swoop. They do kind of are attached and curve. They go from thin to thick, triangular, right in there, and dark as well. And then again, yeah, females usually have longer eyelashes. Not always. I know somebody that has a guy has really long eyelashes, and that's a whole other study. And to see how they are attached, how long they are. Try to capture the character of that, and how they kind of go in there, and the spacing and all that stuff. There we go. Let's tighten up the shading too if we wanted to. I'll get some eyelashes in the eye below, kind of coming out here and there as well. Little triangles. Well, that one's probably too exaggerated. Little lines. Yeah, you don't have as many eyelashes on the bottom eye. And I'm just kind of doing these from memory. You kind of see I'm getting them to curve, but kind of wrap around the eye. There we go. That looks good. I'm happy with that. If I wanted to get that shape of this part right here, it's kind of I get this kind of shape here, like a. It depends on that eyebrow, how that eyebrow comes in. But I see this shape.
Claudio, can I ask you a question about graphite? About there's something called a super high polymer lead for lead pencils.
Uh-huh.
You know, for mechanical pencils. Do you know what that is? I mean, it has graphite in it, but it has, instead of having clay, it has a polymer to hold it, you know, as a binder.
Right.
So do you know if that makes it? Oh, it also says HB on these particular, on this, you know, the ones that
Usually those are for mechanical pencil.
yeah,
Yeah, those. Yeah, that's it's a binder. It's puts them together. Let me see. Yeah. So it's designed for automatic and mechanical pencils. The
Right.
lead, yeah, it's equivalent to number 2 pencil. HB is kind of like a 2. Yeah. So
I mean, my hands are all smeared with it anyway. Just,
yeah, no, they haven't used lead in pencils for years. Yes.
no, I know, it's graphite, but it just the binder is different than what you have in, you know, in the wooden pencils, I think.
Yeah.
But do you ever use the mechanical pencils?
I do use them, but not regularly. I mean, I don't know. I use whatever that
I think they keep the point, I think, better.
Oh yeah, they do keep a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then your shading and you're getting shading and values is more difficult
Okay.
because because of the point. You really want to even almost shade when you shade to hold your pencil down. Let me see and zoom out. Hold your pencil down like this, not like this, because here you have it at a point. So your pencil's up and down like a point. So you to get shading, you're gonna get like that. But if you hold your pencil down and almost even work it down to a flat surface, your pencil will give you smoother shading as you work it down. And once it's worked down, the lead is worked down, then you'll get a smoother shade. Notice how smooth that shade is right there. You can see that shading is smoother because I have it held down. You can zoom in on it and you can see, you know, because I have it held down and I worked it out, maybe burrs or whatever, and had a nice little lead. Then now it's smoother. The shading is smoother. And if I, you know, some people rub, but yeah, I have a little pencil control. If not, you'll see the textures. Kind of like this, you know, and it's good. You can see the pencil lines. So it depends on how, if you want to get really realistic, you know, tightening it up and stuff like that. So you got to know what you're aiming for. And then the more you practice, yeah, you'll know like, oh, I want to make this a really realistic eye, or no, I'm just capturing the structure. Oh, I'm just, you know, what your intention, your purpose is. But yeah, there we go. We got two eyes and they're off kilter. So it's interesting. If I were to draw the nose in here, you can really see that one eye's facing other one way, and then out really looks really strange. We're
Like
starting to
one eye.
yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Looking like a Picasso.
Yeah. The nostril in you. That was unintentional, but yeah. Shape. All right. On that note, it's always good to leave on a happy note. We'll leave it at that, and we'll call it a night.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions, comments? We'll stop our drawing. I'll stop the recording. And if you have questions, I'll take on questions, or if you want me to repeat something. We lost about 5 people. And let's go to stop